Hi, good morning. This is my first YouTube video for Evergreen Winds Homestead, and basically all I really want this channel to be about is just, I guess it's going to be more like a blog. I really know nothing about YouTube videos and blogs and editing and all of that. But I guess this first video will just kind of more or less be about like how we came to be here, my husband and my boys and me, and just kind of like an introductory video. I got lots to share in future videos. Some different things that I want to talk about are my garden. So I'll do like a garden tour and just kind of explain how we're doing things, how we want to change things, because our garden was like a mess this year. We still had tons and tons of production with our garden this year, but it's definitely a mess. Talk about our chickens, what we're trying to do with our chickens. We have a current situation with our chickens, so I'll do a video about that. Our rabbits, we have 2 pet rabbits. And the reason we have the rabbits is for 2 reasons. So they're pets, they do live outside. But when I was growing up, I'm kind of like a second generation homesteader, you could say. This video is probably going to end up being a mishmash of a lot of stories, but so backtrack real quick. So I'm kind of like a second generation homesteader in a way, because my mom did her own canning. She always had a garden. She had 5 kids, so I have 4 siblings, and we were very poor. So for her, like, she didn't have a choice. She had to garden if she wanted to feed us healthy meals. So if anybody ever tells you that gardening has to be expensive, it does not. Yes, it can. It most definitely can. There's all kinds of things you can do to put money into gardening, but you don't have to. It's not free. You know, a lot of times you can find different things on Marketplace. Some things people are just trying to get rid of. Some things you can buy for cheaper. You could definitely do it on the cheap, but it's definitely not free. But it also doesn't have to cost thousands of dollars, depending on where you live and your situation. And I'll do a video on that too. But so she did her own canning. She did her own garden. By the time I became a teenager, I want to say around 13, we had goats, we had chickens, we had 2 sheep, we had a halflinger, which is kind of like a miniature draft horse. You can Google what those are, but they're for cart pulling, which was, my stepdad had a lot of ideas. He was a dreamer, which is probably where I get it from. Just growing up with him, with all these different ideas that he had. I mean, we had the halflinger horse, and he bought an Amish buggy, like an open Amish buggy. So it wasn't enclosed. It was just like, you know, like you could probably fit like 3 people on it. But, and he bought this horse, and he was gonna cart train this horse, because he had done it when he was younger, but we never cart trained the horse. Horse just kind of was there. And the buggy was just kind of there. That's, you know, I'm kind of going off topic here. But anyways, we had a horse. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, and then we had the rabbits. Those were our pets, and never really did anything with them. We weren't in 4-H or anything like that. In hindsight, obviously now I wish I was, because I would have learned a lot more at a younger age. But I think I still got a lot of, you know, just hands-on experience, just kind of, you know, walking around my yard when I was a kid. So it's sort of like a second generation homesteader, because I can't remember exactly how many acres we had, but I want to say it was around like 2.5, something like that. And we had all of those things on the 2.5 acres. So there was definitely a need to be more self-sufficient, just because we didn't have money to buy things. And I'll talk more about the way that I grew up and everything in a different video. But so I learned a lot of those skills from my mom, and I still call her almost every time that I'm canning, because she lives over 6.5 hours away. She doesn't have a car. So like for me, that's kind of my way to connect with her, and doing something that I learned through watching her, and I learned through talking to her every day about it when I do can. So, and sometimes I'll call her when I'm in the garden and different things like that. But it's really been a blessing to have her just kind of there, even over the phone, just for advice and different questions. And I'm not always going to do the same things that she did. She's not always going to do the same things that I do. But I feel like me and my mom really kind of, we kind of have a same, like, I don't even know what you would call it, but just like the same like thought process and the same like hopes and dreams, I guess you could say, in our life and what we want to do. So learned a lot from her, second generation homesteader. And that's more just based off of, I say like a second generation homesteader because it's all based off of what, you know, Joe down the street, Bob, anybody, you know, would use the definition. Like if they're using it as literal if they're using it as a literal old-fashioned definition of a homesteader where, you know, you're living off-grid out in the middle of nowhere away from everybody, then no, we are not a homesteader. The government didn't give us land so that we could homestead it and end up with it. You know, we got a mortgage, we bought the land, we have 3 acres here. So I guess by definition more of like a modern day homesteader. I don't know. I just call it a homestead. I mean, I am steading this home that I live in. You know, we have chickens, we have rabbits, and that's what we're doing here. I wouldn't necessarily say that we're trying to become more self-sufficient, because I feel like nowadays, like, that's like, it's not a cliche. I just feel like it's become something different. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but I don't feel like for us it's more about being self-sufficient, because I think when you say that, there's this goal of not relying on this system, and I feel like to an extent, yes, that's us, but in another capacity, I feel like for me and my husband, like, this is just something that we genuinely enjoy doing. My husband was born and raised city boy, and he's more country than most of the kids that I went to high school with. And I grew up out in the middle of nowhere. I graduated with like 63 people. And, you know, like my friend Melinda, she came out to my house for my bachelorette party, and I had everybody meet at my mom's house where I grew up. And she's like, I was driving and I started running out of gas and I started to get worried because all I could see was cows and cornfields. But that's just where I grew up, you know? So yeah. So my husband was a city boy, and I'm a country girl, and you know, there's this love, this deep love for what we're doing, and there's a lot that we have to figure out. We by no means know everything, and I grew up in this lifestyle, and I don't know everything. So, you know, it's not that I want to be here to be your teacher, but I want to share with you this love of what we're doing. I genuinely love taking care of the animals. I genuinely love digging in the dirt. I genuinely love planting things, planting seeds, watching them grow from start to finish. Like, I love watching the sunsets. I love listening to the wind blowing through our evergreens. I love the birds singing and how, for the most part, it's quiet out here. And I love this lifestyle. So it's not just about being self-sufficient. It's about a genuine love and a genuine thankfulness for this gift that we get to live every day.